Well, 2025 has been an odd year. I don't know about you all, but everything in my life changed several times, and I played some pretty good games while suffering through all that. If you've stuck around with me for a little while now, you'll probably have noticed that I'm a bit biased towards playing games that, appeal to me and there's a high likelihood I'll enjoy. Because I'm not a masochist. I know I don't particularly like 2D platformers, so I don't play them. Generally, when I look back at the end of the year, I tend to have enjoyed the majority of games I've played. I hit around 40 games over the year, 13 of which were 2025 releases. My oldest released game was Final Fantasy I, although it was the recent Pixel remaster, which muddies the water on when it was actually released. So I'll say 2003 were my actual oldest games, with both Impossible Creatures and Sphinx of the Cursed Mummy. I've been pivoting a bit towards making short videos for games that take me less than 10 hours to beat, so I only actually made 17 full reviews this year. Unfortunately, YouTube really pushes shorts right now, and frankly they're much easier to make. Although I do like droning on and on and on about games I like in a way that's not exactly compatible with the 3-minute max. I'll start off with my favorites of the year and work down to my non-starters. Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. It's neither the best Yakuza game nor the best pirate game, but as always, I enjoyed the offbeat and oddly whimsical nature of this series about grizzled career criminals. My Time at Sandrock. Look, I wouldn't want my brother to walk in on me playing this, but it scratches that Harvest Moon itch, and it does make a lot of interesting choices. It's a really solid life sim game, and frankly it was an extremely calming game to get lost in at a time when I really needed that. 20 Small Mazes and Strange Jigsaws. These two really caught me off guard. They're puzzle games by Fleb, and they take those kind of standard video game puzzle concepts and just completely push them with strange modifiers and outside-the-box thinking. 20 Small Mazes is free on Steam, and I really can't recommend that one enough. Call of Juarez Gunslinger. I got a comment on my review for this one that it's one of the best arcade shooters ever, and honestly I find it hard to disagree. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I don't think it quite reaches the level of Final Fantasy VII, but also I'm not 15 anymore, so there's no nostalgia to color it. Still a great game with some intense moments, and I know this is going to hold a vaulted place in the heart of the next generation of gamers. Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War Remastered. Do I actually like Dawn of War, or is it just incredibly familiar to me? I don't know. But I was the first person to get the achievement for completing the Soulstorm campaign as the Imperial Guard. Probably. Portal! I didn't review this one, but a quick replay of Portal really reminds you of the chokehold it had on internet culture for a decade. It's been too long since I've seen a "the cake is a lie" in the wild. Duck Detective, The Ghost of Glamping. 2025 was the year that I learned I'm a complete sucker for cozy games. This one was an outright improvement over Secret Salami, which I still liked, but was a little rougher. They're both pretty hilarious, brief, and have mechanics that I don't see too often, although I don't often play detective games. Legends of Amberland. Sometimes it's nice to get lost in a dungeon crawler. This one doesn't really do anything too ambitious, but it's a nice homage to a certain type of classic RPG, and the modernization features make it extremely playable. Children of the Sun. Highly stylized, interesting gameplay, and every level is a puzzle solved with a single shot. Creeper World IXE. There really aren't any games that are like the Creeper World series, and everyone I've played has been a good time. I especially enjoyed the kind of fluid mechanics involved in this one. Stranglehold. I've been watching a lot of Chow Yun-Fat movies lately. I blame this game. Arco. To be honest, I find that I remember very little about this game 6 months later. I know I enjoyed it at the time and was impressed with the sort of hybridized turn-based combat, but it didn't really have much sticking power for me. Final Fantasy I. It feels like playing every RPG ever made, because every RPG copies a little something from it. The Wandering Village. I liked it okay enough, but I do think city building games without some sort of combat element just generally fall flat for me. The Altars. It's well written, with a novel concept, but a little jank, and the main survival gameplay loop didn't draw me in as much as I would have hoped. State of Decay. Pretty much the gold standard for zombie survival games, from my experience. I really appreciate a game where your characters can die permanently and the story just continues without them. Although to accomplish that, this game makes most of its characters extremely generic. Fly Knight. Pretty solid little adventure. I found the rock, paper, scissors of the weapon types and armor, combined with specific limb destruction, to be a really neat combination, and I hope they expand on that in their next release. Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's a good game that I did not enjoy very much this time. I've probably played 300 hours before this year. Replaying it first thing was a mistake because it completely killed any enthusiasm I had for the sequel, which I still have sitting unopened on my coffee table. Impossible Creatures. It's actually a fairly bare-bones RTS once the novelty of slapping an elephant's head on a lobster's tail wears off. The real monster is the balancing. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. I'm glad I finally beat it after succumbing to a soft lock when I was a kid. To me, it felt like a worse Majora's Mask combined with a very cool puzzle platformer. Spilled. A relaxing little game, but it's too brief and doesn't do anything remarkably interesting. You're paying for the art style, basically. Tower Dominion. Sometimes I like tower defense games, and sometimes I don't. It really depends if they're a tower defense or a roguelite in disguise. No, I am not a human. I'm always glad when an indie game succeeds, but I really felt that this one didn't have a satisfying conclusion. Half the endings felt wacky in a phoned-in kind of way. The mood and concepts are really cool, but the gameplay feels like it's meant for streamers. Diablo 4. Every Blizzard game eventually gets to the same point. If you don't buy it day one, you log in for the first time and you're greeted with an incomprehensible labyrinth of alternate advancement, battle passes, seasonal XP nonsense, and a whole lot of systems that just interfere with your first time experience. I am glad they brought the Necromancer back though. I've always been a Necromancer main. Unknown 9 Awakening. This just felt like a really sloshy, slidey kind of action game. The fighting wasn't super enjoyable, I ran into a non-trivial amount of bugs, and it was just overall poorly paced. Cult of the Lamb. Repetitive. If I wanted to do chores, well, I would. Oblivion Remastered is a great reminder that you shouldn't buy the remastered versions of games you've put several hundred hours in. Sometimes you can just move on. MechWarrior 5 Clans. I think I was a little harsh on this one originally. Either way, the Wolves of Tukayid expansion just came out. Tukayid? Either way, the Wolves expansion just came out and I grabbed it, played through it, and had a really good time. I do think they've rebalanced the weapons since my review, and there seems to have been a shift in mission design philosophy towards more intense, briefer missions than the grinding slugfests in the original campaign. I'd probably rate this one as more enjoyable if I were to review it today. Doom: The Dark Ages. Imagine if Doom Eternal had come out in 2007 and was written with the sly wit and pomp of Two Worlds. Carrion. I think I just don't like Metroidvanias, except for Metroid and Castlevania. Killing Floor 3. The worst part about a sequel that's even a bit off is you have such a direct comparison through the earlier game. Killing Floor 2 was a great time, but they really jammed this one full of battle pass stuff and additional meta progressions that just hurts the overall flow. Plus, the guns just don't sound as good or seem like they pack a punch at all. Dragon Age Veilguard. Yeah, I gave it a try. The setting seems to have morphed into a generic sort of high fantasy. And at least from the first hour or so, I found the characters flat and uninteresting. Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate. Look, I'm a deeply closeted Warhammer fan like everybody else. The issue with every game that tries to copy the XCOM remakes is that it's almost impossible for them to be more fun than just replaying XCOM. After an hour or two I thought, I should replay XCOM, and then I uninstalled. Neverwinter Nights 2 Enhanced Edition. They re-released it this year. I've probably put around 15,000 hours into Neverwinter Nights 2. I used to be addicted to persistent servers. It was well before time tracking, before Steam was huge even. Anyways, Neverwinter Nights 2 single player is not good compared to the multiplayer experience. It's also still completely riddled with bugs all these years later. Not even my most intense nostalgia could carry me through all the campaigns. Doom 1 and 2 Remastered. I don't know if I'll ever actually finish all the levels in the pack, but it's really fun just to boot Doom up and play a level or two on easy every now and then. It really holds up shockingly well. I do have to admit that I've played more Doom mods than I have actual Doom levels at this point. Project Warlock 2. I really like the frantic energy of this game. The multiple upgrade trees with tons of resources laying everywhere, the stylization, the combat, everything. It's another game that I'll probably just keep picking at now and again without ever really finishing it. I don't really feel comfortable doing full reviews of early access games on account of the potential for a cut and run or just massive changes. But I did play a handful this year that I really liked. Manor Lords. In the state I played it in, a little bit buggy, but there's already a great city builder here. I didn't get into too much of the combat, but the groundwork is here for a really solid, finished game. Erenshore. I've never actually had a game recapture the feeling of EverQuest in 1999, but this one does. The simulated players are great, even though there's only a few that seem to have distinct personalities. But there was a dungeon I entered, and it felt exactly like wandering into Befallen, and feeling that creeping dread that there could be anything at the bottom of that dungeon. Star Sector. Look, Star Sector is still early access, and it's been one of the best games I've ever played in multiple configurations for about 13 years. It started out as a really cool 2D spaceship arena game, and now there's a mostly complete story, a novel take on randomization where the core worlds are pre-genned but the outskirts are truly wild, and basically everything you could want from a game like Elite or X4, minus the incredibly steep learning curve. I also really appreciate any game that lets me pilot a ship so massive I have to automate half the weapons so I can focus on the important gun. Plus, I lost my key code and emailed the company, and they retrieved it even though I made the purchase over a decade ago. Now that's customer service. Well, that's all. Feels like a lot to say all at once. My favorite game I played this year was probably Clair Obscur, but that might just be recency bias since it is the last game I played this year. It's definitely close with Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Well, thanks for tuning in, and if you've made it this far, hey, I hope in 2026 you find good things, and good things find you. See ya!